Hello, John.
Hey,
Welcome to the Look Who It Is podcast. Look who it is. It's John. All right, we'll dive right in. We just do some warm-up questions here, icebreaker stuff. So let's just say, what was your earliest memory playing the guitar?
uh, I would say probably um, sitting on the front porch with my dad, him giving me like a chord book and like going through a few chords and show me a few things, and then pretty much being like, "That's it. Once you learn this chord book, we can go from there." So
Did he have like a extra guitar, or did you have your own by then? Or
yeah, actually, we had that blue Squire. Well, actually, it was a Martin, that blue electric Martin guitar that he ended up giving to Ross, and he did all the artwork on it. But
okay, yeah,
yeah, that was actually my first guitar. Was that blue Martin?
Hmm.
So,
Sweet. Now it's Ross's.
yep, hanging on his wall.
Yeah, I seen him not too long ago, and he said he's been playing.
Has he?
Yeah. So, like, was it that like when you knew you wanted to play, or was that just like your dad, like, try this, or like, did you ask him? Were you like, I want to learn how to play, or
Oh no, heck, our whole family as a kid growing up, going to all the family reunions. Uncle Andy and Dad and heck, all their friends. We'd have those big reunion parties, and everybody'd be playing music. Grandpa, of course, grabbing his acoustic, and he had his own songs that he wrote throughout the whole years, and of course, just living in that environment, you just kind of naturally were drawn to wanting to play. And yeah, I don't know if there's ever a time I can remember not wanting to, but it's just getting to the point where you're mature enough to make time for it and
yeah.
put the practice in. So
You remember the first song you ever played and actually was like, I can play this song.
yeah, actually, Brian Adams, "Run to You," and then that's funny because like same thing when Chris and I got together, and I kind of turned him onto that, and I think that was both. That song started it because it was so easy, and then like Nirvana, "Come As You Are" was another one. Um, "Smoke on the Water," stuff like that. Just your easy, three notes or whatever. But I would say between Brian Adams and that Nirvana song would be kind of one of the first two, and then of course venture on to Metallica and stuff like that. But yeah,
So like, how much, like, you learned those chords that your dad gave you the book, but then after that was, I mean, did he like keep teaching you, or after that were you just pretty much self-taught after that?
yeah, pretty much self-taught. That's just how he operated, which is what it is.
But you had a
Yeah,
lot of books and stuff that you'd read, right, and learn stuff from, and
yeah. Of course, by the time tabs started becoming a thing, and internet was coming available, so you had all that at your fingertips to learn whatever you wanted. And then you had to decipher whose tabs were right. Because you're like, this is
right.
nowhere near, But yeah, yeah,
You probably had a pretty go-to, like, trustworthy website that you'd use most of the time, right?
I did. To be honest, I don't remember what it was, but yeah, of course. I had the one that everybody rated it. She always stuck the 5-star rating tab,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It'd have like the same song listed over and over again, but different stars, and you
Yeah.
the one that everybody liked the most. So you like jamming out mostly like with people you know, or do you like meeting new people and playing with new people?
Both. I love playing. That's the things, I guess growing up in the environment that with the musicians that I did and Dad, they all were old school playing off a feel, you know, nothing had to be note for note or whatever. You just kind of stayed in the key you're in, but, kind of just, you know, fed off of everybody and, kind of tried to make your own whoever's music you're playing, part of your own, and that's one nice thing about playing with other people. Like heck, we got together with people that he played with in high school, and they're just now starting to play again. And then they have that one guy who plays bass through a keyboard, and he had never played Nothing Else Matters before. And I started playing it, and then he started putting the bass notes and then adding keyboard to it. And it was just like, oh my God, you never, just made a whole new element to it. And I'd never, you know, played with somebody that can do that. So it was just, and that's the name, that opportunity to play with that guy was just, a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Sounds awesome. I wish I could
Oh,
hear
yeah,
it.
it was. Well, and then a whole bunch of other songs, they were playing old Creedence Clearwater and that Lodi. Like, heck, I've never played that song, and, you know, just learning new things and playing with new people, and everything's a learning experience regardless, feeding off each other and seeing how they do it. And yeah, just trying to have fun.
You wish you could still get together with like all the old guys though, like that you played like Greg and Chris and Brandon or who played bass for you for a while there?
Zach.
Zach, yeah.
Zach Noblet.
Yeah.
Which he's in a band in South or San Diego now. Doing real good. They have a music video.
Wow.
I don't remember the name of the band. I'll have to look it up, but
what kind of music is it?
it's heavier, like rock.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
it's real
send
good.
that to me.
That's the thing. It's like playing with good musicians too. That guy that played bass and keyboard, and he'd been playing for 40 years, and it's just when you get with a good musician, it's just like that makes a world of difference too. Plus, like
Sure.
playing with people that you've played with forever. But yeah, of course, love to if we could do like a reunion. If Chris could get his stuff together, and we could,
Right.
Hash out old differences. Definitely, it'd be kind of cool to get together because that's him and I growing up together and playing together. We had a natural, art of playing. So
I feel like you guys were both good and you guys learned differently, but still fed off of each other and kind of,
mm-hmm.
And there was like a little element of competition too, I feel like.
Well, yeah, because Chris had the technical side of it, and then I had the free flowing kind of just. I would more or less the rhythm made the like the rhythm, the beats, and the bass of the songs, and then he kind of built off of those. So we kind of both needed each other to make one whole song like complete.
How do you feel like your music since you started playing to now has changed? And like, obviously you play more intricate stuff or, but compared to when you first started just playing like Smoke on the Water or something, but like, has your taste in music changed a lot?
Oh yeah. I wouldn't say it's changed a lot. It's just evolved and grown. Growing up with classic rock, and then having an older brother that was into like thrash metal and Guns N' Roses, and then of course we grew up in that into grunge, and then you had the heavy stuff like going into like Killswitch Engage and Trivium, and that progression, learning all that, and then now you go back to like simpler stuff where you get this newer country that's like kind of like Whiskey Myers type stuff that's kind of like a harder type thing that's that, and blues of course. So I've never been one-sided. I've loved all music. So
Kind of
yeah,
like
I do.
like a Chris Stapleton. Like some of that's like has a lot of emotion, but it's not very intricate.
Yeah, but his is too, because the notes and the scaling and the timing and everything on his songs, I think make it. You can recreate it, but not like he can, So
So like today, what's your Like, what's your setup? Like, what's your favorite? If you go down and picked it up, your guitar right now, like, what are you playing? Like,
The Martin acoustic, just to start out with.
yeah.
Yep. And open
So,
chords. That's where I've been at for a while. Just playing open chords, open D, open G, open E, and just something new. Of course, you start out standard tuning, and you drop it half step, and then you go to whole step, just for the heavy stuff. I usually have a couple guitars and a couple different tunings, because it's crazy. Like when you start playing, it's like refreshing, and then you switch to a different guitar, it's in a different tuning, so it's just like starting over. So it's just like, oh, it's a new sound, and you just, of course, jam out and make new stuff off this, and
right.
it doesn't, dull out because you're in a new tuning. I've reverted back to standard tuning here lately just because I haven't played in it in so long.
And then you remember all the songs in standard that then they just all start flooding back in. And
with it, yeah, go back to the early Kill 'Em All album. Like, yeah. Because it was in standard, so you knock it out.
so, like, if you had endless amounts of money and could just walk into a store and buy any guitar off the wall that you could buy, like, what would you buy?
It'd be
New
easy,
or
like,
old?
that'll all be old. Early 60s Gibson ES 345. That one Dad had that was red. But there again, you don't see those 335s, 345s. They're so, you could do about anything with them. So, and the tone out of them was just crazy.
Yeah. What about your amp
So,
and stuff? Would you keep the same amp you got now?
yep, I'm happy with what I got. Mesa, always wanted it. That thing's incredible. And then that cheap Bugera, but that's a good setup.
I remember going and getting that.
No, yeah. I remember, going and taking your dad's truck to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went all the way
Carmel?
to Castleton.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the Guitar Center in Castleton.
A couple of years later, Terre Haute ended up getting one.
Mm-hmm. Now it's already gone. So I think that one's still there. There's one in Urbana. That's not too bad. That's pretty close, really, about an hour away.
This just sucks. Brick and mortar stores are going away.
I know. Jake that I work with, he goes to Sweetwater once a year.
Really?
You ever been there? Or I've never been there, but
I think Fort Wayne.
mm-hmm.
We went to the music shop there on 25th in Terre Haute. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's the only place you can find anything. And then they're not really a heavy Gibson shop, but they got a couple real nice older vintage guitars in there. I think they Washburn, Omaha, a couple. I can't remember their new brands that they carry, but it's definitely worth going and checking it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that Gibson garage place I went to was pretty cool. You'd have liked it. Do you have like a specific warm up song? Like when you're warm, you like just play scales or something, or you just go straight into it?
Yeah, I used to always warm my hands up, and I probably should, but anymore I just sit down and start jamming chords.
You would you say you play about every day?
Not anymore. I'd love to. I'd say about every 2 or 3 days for at least a half hour, 45 minutes, and then at least once a week I try getting an hour session in.
Yeah. How often do you go play with your dad and his friends?
We went a couple times, but here recently I think they got busy, and then Kurt, the one singer, kind of fell off, and that band's still playing, but I don't think those two are dad's going over there as much as he was. So
they an actual band that still goes out and like plays gigs?
I think that one does, yeah. It's the Cruz brothers. Like Mikey Cruz and his dad.
If they asked you to play in with them, would you go? If you were off and could do it?
Yeah, I definitely want to practice. I was telling them to give me a set list because I didn't. It's fun because the drummer is older and he's into the he loves playing the Metallica type stuff. And so whenever I would throw like my songs in there, they were like, heck yeah, we've never done this, and he loved it. And we kind of hit it off, and he was wanting to get together and jam some more, but work schedules and stuff like that, we just have never done it.
Yeah. Cool. That'd be cool. I've been talking you up to Jake, and he said he'd jam out sometime with you.
Yeah, need to.
So I think he's going to stop by on the 16th. He has a thing going at the park until 8, so then he's going to stop by the house after that. So save the date.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a good one. Some fun questions. If you could play with anyone.
Heck, that's easy. Hetfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that down picking. I'd still say him over Stevie Ray Vaughan. Would be fun if he was alive.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be real fun. And if, say you could only keep one album, like if you're stranded on a desert island and it could only have one album.
Yeah, probably Injustice for All.
Oh, that's probably my favorite Metallica album too. Ooh, here's a good one. What would you say to someone who is just learning guitar? Like, if they're thinking about starting to play guitar, what would be like your words of wisdom?
Keep practicing. Don't give up. Basically, find songs that you love to play, and that's the biggest thing. It keeps you interested. I think where people fall off, and maybe this is just my opinion, is that you don't continue to learn new songs. Because that's the only way you can kind of broaden your technique is to try to learn, upcoming new songs, even old songs that you haven't learned. I think that's where some of this new, streaming services are kind of nice because, heck, you put it on just like some radio station and then all of a sudden it's like you're playing songs that you never would have picked, but they put it in the list. You're like, holy crap, and then you write it down like, hey, I want to learn this one. It kind of helps open up your horizon.
So do you have anything, planned for the future? Like, do you think you'll want to, obviously you'll keep playing guitar, but like, do you ever want to like get back in a band and maybe go out and play and stuff?
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
Life slows down.
Is that like kind of like a retirement plan? Like after you retire, you might?
I wouldn't even necessarily say that, but I'd say just, of course, I don't have kids, but it's like Greg has kids, or if I had kids, but I think we'd still be able to manage. But it's hard for guys that have kids to make time to schedule. And that's like, with Greg coming, it's usually generally once in a blue moon because having kids. And same thing with everybody that has children. So I think it's more or less when that phase of their life and we can all come together and have more time. Because that's, I hate to say it, but getting some people on stage, they have to be a level of comfort that a certain amount of practice takes before they get there. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, even if it was like with other people, somebody new or something,
Yeah, I'd love to play. Even if I could find a new group, I'd love to. And I say even like that, the older guys, I'd love to say time comes when it worked out, I'd go set in with them or take a year and jam out and play around with them, It's like I had a chance years ago to go play with that Cornfield Mafia. I turned it down because I just wasn't really into that music at the time. But
they're still out and about. They still tour and do all sorts of stuff. I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen them around. Do they play the?
I don't know. I didn't even know they were still playing. But it's back.
I think they are.
Are they? I know this is when Bobby still had the Roadhouse, and
I seen them on some website. It was like where you could book bands and stuff.
Yeah.
They ever play the Bad Apple? I feel like they were there last year.
I bet they do. Yeah. That's one thing. Finding a band like that, Hairbangers Ball, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. They were at Wine on the Wabash like a couple weeks ago, I think.
Oh, really? I didn't even know there was a thing called that.
Yeah. They have like a little festival and wineries, and Then they have a couple bands playing. So they're one of them.
Yeah, we usually try to go to the Bad Apple and watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Take around the Corey Apple Festival.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You went to Indy and seen him once, didn't you? With Brannon?
Yeah. There are some good stories on that one.
Yeah, I remember those. That's pretty funny. You want to talk about the band that you guys had for a while? What was the name of the band? I don't remember what it...
We changed it a couple times. It ended up being Deuces Wild.
Yeah, Deuces Wild.
We were going to do the Lone Rangers.
I'm glad you went with Deuces Wild.
How could they be lone when there's 4 of them?
Multiple Lone Rangers.
I can't remember. We went through so many different band names.
And then how many... So I remember you playing at the Roadhouse. Did you play at the Roadhouse more than once?
We played there a couple times. 36 twice.
And then where were you at that? Was it like a Brazil at a VFW or something?
We were in Terre Haute.
Terre Haute?
VFW in Terre Haute. Yeah.
And then,
yeah, that was fun. How that whole started, we were just jamming in the basement. And of course, Wes had that karaoke deal. We, of course, the owner of the Roadhouse didn't have anything going on. That one band skipped out on, and Wes kind of put us up for it. And we're like, we don't even have a singer. We may have known like 10, 15 songs. We were just jamming and having a good time. And then Wes set us up for that show, and we're like, oh, crap. 2 weeks we had practice, and we ended up with like 25 songs, and he sung it. And remember, it was like packed all the way out into the grass parking lot.
Yeah, it was packed. It was a good time, too.
Oh, yeah. That was the start of it.
Then, so Wes sang, and then did Wes only sing the one time at the Roadhouse? Or how many times did Kyle play with you guys?
We played quite a bit of shows. I don't remember all of them, but I'd say he played at least 4 or 5. But we had that Jason, who was that real good singer. Really good. Him and Chris kind of clashed.
Yeah.
They both wanted to do things.
I barely remember him.
So, yeah, we had John Hill from Harley. Him and Chris kind of clashed. So it didn't work out either. Yeah. Life just got in the way.
Yeah, it happens. I know. Especially when you're young and you're growing up and guys still finding their own ways.
Yeah. I love it. Glad to be part of my life. Bought all that equipment and still have it.
All right, John. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for getting on here, sharing all your wisdom with us. And yeah, I'll send you some clips and stuff when we get it all done.
Sounds good.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Yep.
See you.